Good afternoon, everyone. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to Sport Conversations for Change. I am Dr. Akilah Carter-Francique, the Executive Director for the Institute for the Study of Sport, Society, and Social Change. I'm glad to be here as we near the end of the semester, but I have with us, joining me, to present today our wonderful panel is Dr. Amy August. She is the Assistant Director for the Institute for the Study of Sport, Society, and Social Change.
Thanks for having me. We're so excited to have you here.
Great. So today's conversation is entitled The Student Experience, Enduring Education and Activism During COVID-19. Before we begin this important student intern and activist panel, we at the Institute invite you to view our past Sport Conversation for Change conversations and on our YouTube channel. So with that, we want you to also look out for any forthcoming events that we've had. So we'll have a couple that will be posted over the summer in case you missed it. So one of those events that we definitely want you to look out for is with our San Jose State Human Rights and Social Change Colloquium. And so it's a collaborative research center program that we co-hosted with the Human Rights Institute that is directed by Dr. William Armeline. So look forward to that program, and we invite you again to connect with us with our YouTube channel to see the amazing programs and conversations we've had over the past few months. So with that said, here, get this music moving and get into a little bit about who we are. So if you are joining us for the first time, we invite you also to stay connected with us through our Words to Action website at wordstoaction.com, Facebook page, our Twitter, our Instagram, and yes, again, our YouTube. So please join us in those conversations and those engagements to see what we're doing and what we're up to. So just to give you a little background about the Institute for the Study of Sports, Society, and Social Change, as you can see here with our mission, is dedicated to research, analysis, and education at the intersection of sport and society. The Institute was started in 2017 as the brainchild of Dr. Harry Edwards. And its purpose is to really bring forth and sustain the legacy of equity and social justice that is a part of SJSU's DNA. So as I said, we thank you for joining us. Over the next hour, our Sport Conversation for Change will serve as an opportunity, so excited, an opportunity to celebrate our students and rising activists. The student experience enduring education and activism during COVID-19. This Sport Conversation for Change, again, will focus on the college student experience during COVID-19 and the Black Lives Matter movement. Much of the Institute's conversations have featured the perspectives and forecasting efforts of thought leaders, of academic scholars, administrators, coaches, and practitioners in institutions, organizations, and associations that are dedicated to supporting students and participants. In our efforts to understand and provide support to our fellow leaders on, excuse me, to our fellow leaders on particular issues that are really happening on the front line. And as we near the end of our virtual academic year, we wanted to speak to our students and to learn about their experiences. This May conversation will feature the 2020-2021 ISK, as we're affectionately known as, interns. During our conversations, we really seek to learn about the internship experience, identify the ways their engagement and research influenced their educational journey, and illuminate how we at the Institute supported their advocacy, activism, and social change efforts. So we thank you for joining us today, and we invite you, if you would like, to share your word or words. If you have questions of interest, to place them in the chat box, and we'll do our best to get to those questions. As always, please be respectful in your questions and comments. At this, we really see this as a place of learning and sharing of knowledge. We also invite you just to sit back and enjoy today's conversation. Listen to our student voices and future voices of change, and consider how I can use my platform and you can use your position and platform to support their education, development, and social change efforts. As we say, hashtag words to action. So who's in our audience today is one of the things I know we want to try to get at. And so we're going to throw a little survey out, see who we're talking to, and really open it up for conversation. While you're doing that, I wanted to take a moment to introduce you to our esteemed intern panel. So we have an array of amazing student interns. Our first is Jesse Bear, who's a graduate student at Central Michigan University. He's pursuing his master's in children's and young adult literature. He has demonstrated a passion for youth, inclusion, and identity and acceptance. One of the things that he did say with regards to this internship, as far as a lesson learned, he learned that activism is not a monolith. It can be in as many different forms as there exist causes to advocate. So welcome, Jesse. Next, we have Natasha Harris, undergraduate student, San Jose State University, who's majoring in communications. She has a passion for youth engagement in sport, and it's particularly in the sport of soccer. One of the lessons that she learned is that it is important, and how important it is for communication to happen within an organization, especially when working in groups. She said it's crucial to keep each other updated so there aren't repeated information and everybody is truly on the same page. We also have joining us the lovely Leilani Selah, undergraduate student here at San Jose State University. She is majoring in kinesiology. One of the lessons that she said she learned during the internship was about the power of one's voice. Issues are not going to be resolved on their own. We need to bring them to the surface, spark conversations, and educate others on it. Through attending a variety of conversations and conferences, she learned that there is no issue too big or too little. Each and every issue is worth fighting for. And our fourth panelist, Caleb Simmons, undergraduate student at San Jose State University, majoring in kinesiology, and also a member of our men's basketball team. He has many passions, a strong desire for social change and racial justice, and he has used his past experiences and his current platform as a student athlete to organize and empower students. One of the lessons that he learned is that there are various ways to enact change, and that the fight for social justice is important. Even more so is raising awareness about the inequities that aren't often talked about. So again, I welcome each and every one of you to our panel today. I'm looking forward to a robust conversation as we talk about our internships. We see we have a few students in the audience and others that are representing different areas of leadership in our community. So thank you all for joining us. We're going to get into today's conversation. And again, a few of the things that we're going to cover are the intern experience and really try to understand what does it mean when we talk about our three pillars of social media and marketing, research and education programs. We're also going to highlight research engagement that they participated in, from education to presentation to amplification. In our third area, we're going to focus on is advocacy, activism, and social change, past, present, and you, and really get to know them for who they are. So we're going to move into our conversation and get it started. Great. So last year, this time, many of you on our panel today, and those of you that are students in our audience, were faced with an interesting challenge regarding the fulfillment of internship credit hours. So sport and sport business, as we know, stopped, relocated, like many of us. And we relocated to our homes. And so watching a series of events unfold in real time, my colleagues and I, again, Beth Doyle, who is just so amazing, the executive assistant for the Institute, she was brought in maybe a week before we had stay-at-home orders. And one of the things that we sort of brainstormed about is that, oh my goodness, we have so many students that are looking for a space to do internships. And guess what? We thought we had a place for them. So we crafted some documentation, we developed some aspects of it, and sort of did a soft launch over the summer with one lone intern. And then we were like, you know what? I think this is going to be something that's going to be pretty fabulous, because as we learned, COVID was not a 8-week, 2-month situation that was taking place. It was something that was, well, we're still here now. So with that said, we launched our internship for academic credit program. And with that, in the fall of 2019, we were so, 2020, we were so happy to bring in 10 interns. And in this past spring of 2021, we have 9 interns. And so again, you all are here with us today and led by my amazing colleague, Dr. Amy August, putting together a fabulous curriculum so we can work with each and every one of you. So with all of that said, right, as you all did serve as an intern, and one of the things we wanted to kind of know as an opening conversation, first and foremost is a question that we begin all of our sport conversations with. What does sport mean to you? And in saying that, how has it played a role in your internship experience? And I'll start with you, Jesse.
Well, thank you. And again, I'm thankful for this opportunity. I would say sport to me is a microcosm of all the challenges that our world is facing today, because one way, shape, or form, any major issue will find its way reflected in sports. And in regards to how it affected me with this internship, it really wasn't a matter of how am I going to make sports important to a general populace. It's I just need to take that time to find that connection, because with rural communities, that's who I did my presentation with for our conference last time. It wasn't a matter of can they be relevant? It's a matter of how are they relevant and how do I best communicate that?
Thank you. Such amazing words. To continue on that, Natasha, Could you share with us a little bit about what sport means to you and how it played a role in your internship?
So I've grown up playing sports my entire life, my brother, my parents. So I've just always been extremely passionate about sports, even soccer, which is the sport that I specialized in. But it's just been a big way for me to release my energy and have a platform. So without sports, I have no clue what I would be doing currently. And it's just now I'm using my experiences on the field to now coach youth and then also give collegiate athletes a voice, whether it's mental health or just any issues that may go on within a program.
Great, thank you. Leilani.
Hello, first off, thank you for having me here. Sport is, there's so much to sport. To me, sport is a community, a platform, and a way to express oneself. So as a kinesiology student, I'm all about like, I want to play sports, I want to play sports. But with COVID, like, how can I play sports without like physically playing sports? And this internship showed me like sports is beyond on the field. And this internship gave me a platform to use my words and talk about sports without actually being on the field.
Great, thank you. It is so robust when we start to kind of dig in and unpack the complexity of sport and the business of sport, the development that can happen within the sport realm. So thank you for sharing that perspective. Caleb, what are your thoughts? What does your experience entail?
Well, first off, thank you for having me once again. It's amazing to be on another panel with you. For me, sport, like my father, when I was young, he told me the sports could be like a car to get me anywhere I wanted to go in life. And it really has done that for me. I remember when, it originally started out playing sports, I really was not good until high school. And at that time, I saw a lot of my friends and my older brother getting recruited to go play at college for a scholarship. And from my situation, I knew that my parents wouldn't necessarily be able to just pay outright for a college degree. So I knew that if I worked hard enough, I could get a chance to go to college for free. And that's exactly what it was. But sport is so much more than just a college degree. It's the opportunity to grow, to experience different things in life, to experience life and what it has to offer is the good, the bad, and the in-between. I wouldn't be here in sunny California, San Jose, if it wasn't for sport, but more importantly, my ability to really galvanize the experience and to make the most of sport, because it doesn't last forever, but it is something that you can do when you want. And it's not only a way to get out whatever kind of anxiety, stressors you may have in life on the day-to-day basis. It's always something that you can come back to watch. And for me, it's really been able to take me to where I want to go in life. And I'm just so grateful for it.
Thank you so much for all those interesting and really different answers. We really appreciate your insights. And now to kind of transition into our first segment, which is focused on the internship experience, I want to give the first question to Jesse. So what were some of the reasons that you sought to apply for the Institute for the Study of Sports, Society, and Social Change internship?
Well, for me, it was really two. And the first being, so my master's is in English, my bachelor's is in English education, and my favorite thing to do is get into the field, get my hands dirty, and make something. And when I got to know the internship, when we went through the details, I got all the more excited because I'm not just going to be reading books and writing papers. I'm actually going to be able to create something that I can use in both my profession and education, and that other people can use for their professions as well. The other part is sports really are one of my favorite things to watch. It's how I've developed myself, actually, through sport icons, people I looked up to. And when I found out there are academic fields about sports, I found this institute through Google search, wanted to get more involved. I saw the opportunity and I took it.
Good. And the same question I want to throw to Caleb. What were some of the reasons that you sought to apply for the internship?
Well, for me, it was really another opportunity to learn and to learn from an amazing group of people. For me, I was really just starting out in my journey being an activist and advocating for the things I believed in society. And I'm at a university that's really like the pillar for, I believe, social justice activism within athletes and sport activism as a whole. And we have a statue that literally symbolizes that. So I felt like there was no better place to get information from, words to action, and to be able to really hone in on my abilities to not only grow as an activist, but to understand how I can make an impact from my platform and to best utilize my abilities to leverage myself.
Great, great. And when we talk about the internship, one of the things that you know, our team sort of set up was the internship in those particular positions based upon the 3 pillars of what we do, which is programs, education, and research. Now we pivoted one of them a little bit to focus more on social media and marketing because let's be honest, me and social media, I'm learning. So you guys continue to teach me. Thank you, Natasha, to help me through all of that. But with that said, you know, what particular pillar were you assigned and what did you learn or skill set did you obtain during your internship? And so since I just threw out Natasha's name, could, you know, share with us a little bit about the pillars that you worked on and other skills that you ended up adding to your repertoire during that time or even honed, you know, really short them up.
So I worked as a social media intern for both semesters that I interned for the Institute. And me and my group were in charge of running the Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook and just making sure that everything, all the events that we were doing were being posted, all of the collaborations and partners were being tagged and we were following them and giving them support. And we were just really trying to build our social media platform. And so our first semester was pretty good because our numbers were pretty low. And so we gained a lot, which was super exciting. But since then we've added a link tree so we can add all of our past conferences and experiences. And then I've also used Canva and Adobe Spark because we've needed to make our own graphics or learn how to make a Spark page like for these conferences. And so I've just strengthened my social media tips and tricks. And yeah.
Hey, thanks so much for the insights into what your social media team was working on. I'll throw the same question to Leilani. What pillars were you assigned and what did you learn or skill sets did you obtain during your internship?
For the past 2 semesters, I was assigned as this research intern. And here I learned how to conduct research and use my platform to share like my research with others through our YouTube where you guys can go check it out. In addition to that, I was given the opportunity to get certified to conduct research, which is super cool. And with my presentation of virtual, I learned how to use so many new softwares like online that I never knew how to use, like Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe Lightroom, Google Drive. There's like more to Google Drive and just so much more, and even Zoom. So I learned more than just research, and this definitely would help me in the future.
Great. And then, so our next question is really directed toward both Leilani and Caleb. And that is just that, whose scholarship or activism did you learn about during your internship? And were you able to connect with any of those individuals on a more personal level? And if so, what did you learn from them? So why don't we go to Caleb first, and then we'll turn to Leilani on that one.
So I remember back in the fall when I was interning, I learned about the Olympic Project of Human Rights and Dr. Harry Edwards and his great efforts. You know, funny story, I met him in person before COVID. I believe it was 2019. I think January of 2019. And, you know, the conversation really changed my life. But, you know, I only knew the name. I didn't really know exactly what he was doing and what he had done for so many people before. And so when I had the opportunity to research and to really like dive into the facts about him and all of the work and effort he put in behind what he wanted to get done as a student while he was here and the efforts he did that literally the world saw. So for me, I had the opportunity to really learn and digest what he did for not only San Jose State, but really for the sport activist scope of where it is now and where it's going to go. So I had the opportunity to connect with him via email. That was cool. And then I also got the opportunity to connect with John Carlos. And that was through social media. It came, when was this? This was the fall, it was the same fall. And not only learning about his great confidence in doing what he did, because there are so many people that had the opportunity to make some kind of a stand, but chose not to for whatever reason. And he made one of the biggest, as you see, it's a pillar for sport activism today. And he's known as one of the quote unquote goats or legends that is very true to the name. So when I had the opportunity to connect with him, and we're still connected via social media to this day. And I have nothing but respect and really great admiration for what he's done.
Same thing, you know, Leilani, just wanted to learn a little bit more about, you know, who you were able to connect with. I know that you had the opportunity to even support us in conducting some of these sport conversations for change programs. So with that said, you know, again, who are those individuals, scholarship that you started to follow and explore during your experience, and have you been able to connect with?
Last semester, our institute had a sport conversation for change on ADA in sport. And I was able to learn about the activism that Dr. Mary Huns and Dr. Eli Wolf were doing for ADA in sport. And there, it kind of just sparked my interest in disability in sport, and like questioned myself, like, what can I do? And they kind of like sparked my interest and helped me make 2 presentations on ADA in sports and kind of guided my passion for it. And super cool, but I actually got to meet Dr. Mary Huns virtually for over like an hour. We just talked about adaptive sports, and I kind of learned about all the work that she's done. And she kind of inspired me to do more and maybe potentially get like a PhD and maybe professor and do all that. So I think it's super cool. And now I have someone to refer back to if I ever need like help. And she's always been like, if you need me, I'm right here, which is an amazing opportunity through this virtual internship.
That is so great to hear. I'm getting like goosebumps because anytime I feel that we can inspire students to further their education, I get super excited. And of course, we have, you know, Jesse here on panel with us that has also in many ways served as a mentor to some of our undergrads, just sort of sharing his own lived experience as a master's student and sharing some of the amazing projects that he's gotten into over the semester. So we won't go into that. We won't go into that today, but just to know that we have some great conversations. But thank you, Caleb and Leilani, for sharing that perspective. And I think both of you shared some information that was quite great as we sort of move into this notion of research engagement and participation. So one of the aspects that Dr. August and I wanted to promote was understanding, you know, just a broader understanding of research, what it is, how it can be used, and the development of your research skills. So in doing so, through our internship program, as you spoke to, Leilani, we stress the importance of obtaining CITI training, the Collaborative Institutional Training Initiative program, which is dedicated to serving the training needs of colleges and universities, even healthcare institutions, technology and research organizations, and even governmental agencies, as we really work to foster this notion of integrity and professional advancement of learners in all aspects. And in that space, you know, we even sort of created and are located places for you all to present your work and share your social justice issue of interest. Like in our inaugural, again, as you alluded to, our Sports Society and Social Change virtual 2-day conference that we did. Mind you, I just want to throw out to the audience, we haven't, for the most part, met any of our interns face-to-face yet. I think I saw Natasha prior to COVID, just in the stands with basketball. Caleb, I've seen because I had to pick up some PPE. But for the most part, we have done all of this virtually. Which I think is so great and wonderful. So, but they've had an opportunity to present their own personal passion project, if you will. So with that said, I wanted to hear a little bit from you all to share with our listeners and our audience members today, in particular students, right, that are embarking on and are in the midst of research, how this practice of research has aided in your education and allowed you to leverage your academic major. So I want to start with Jesse on that question.
Hello, hello. So I would say it goes back to really two parts. The first part is this whole experience with city training and also some other projects we've done for the internship in terms of organizing our literature review, that honestly provided that foundation of just fundamentals that I needed, that I think in one way, in shape or form, was overlooked throughout my undergraduate. And I look forward to, I have another year of of my master's education. I look forward to utilizing those in my further research projects. And I think with the conference specifically, really the big thing is that when you go about and you're presenting an idea that you have, to whatever level the finished product came out to, that's the time to really shine, where the lights are on you and you get to add one little piece to the world understanding of itself. And there's also that pressure of, okay, I got to polish it to that 5-minute window that we had to fit. But also that's the exciting part of, we're not just turning something into our professors, we're actually turning something in for the world to see and to react to and respond.
Thanks. Yeah, that's a really great answer about, like, it just shows your understanding of research as being a process, and, you know, scholarship as being a community. Then, you know, if we're lucky, we contribute a little bit of information to that overarching body of knowledge that exists out there. And so I want to ask a similar question for Leilani. We often talk about the public dissemination of research as being a form of activism. And so I'm interested in learning a little bit more about how your experiences presenting your own research have helped you to understand this process of, disseminating public scholarship as a form of activism.
Yeah, so through my presentations, I learned that research is beyond just checking off the rubrics for class and this is what I need for my teacher, this is what I need. And it's more than that. It's where your passion could shine. And I learned through my presentation just how to condense all of those research that I found into specific points to tell my target audience, this is what I want you to know. Because for me, all this information is amazing, but it can be overwhelming. And to reach my target audience, I have to make sure that they're understanding what I'm saying. And with the work of with the opportunity to have those presentations on YouTube, I was really able to understand it more for myself and put those big words that I saw in those research papers into something that I could even understand. Yeah.
I love that. Yes, it's a lot of big words that we were working and sharing, amazing readings, with you, like C. Wright Mills, Sociological Imagination. You're reading this disability work and learning about the law. And many of you would add those different sort of aspects to your day-to-day involvement. I want to speak to Caleb and Natasha next, because, you all also had sort of a double role being student athletes. And so what did that sort of manifest for you? And so thinking more specifically, describe the role that your research teachings, your learnings, how they were able to amplify your efforts and your advocacy work and your activism work and your efforts towards promoting social change. And just to kind of put a little bug in it, you've had the opportunity to be a part of other panels and share your voice in other sort of media spaces as well. But how did the research specifically, the science of research sort of add to and enhance your effort to be an activist? Caleb, we'll have you go first.
So really, a famous quote, it's, you don't know what you don't know or until you know it. So for me, I really had to get into reading articles, literally asking you, who should I really develop information from?
I remember that email train.
Yeah, and I remember just the assignments that we had. For me, it was really being able to hone in on those skills, really understanding, okay, so for example, Dr. Harry Edwards went through X, Y, and Z. Basically, when he was here, he was a student just like me. And he was going through similar situations, but at a different time. And not only understanding that, but applying that to my life and applying today's 2021, 2020 era of not only social media, but how to disseminate information to different platforms and how to do it at the snap of a finger like that. So for real, like it was not only important, but it allowed me to share this information with my fellow peers. And, you know, honestly, sitting here in this seat, I understand how hard it really is to not only move the needle, but to get people to understand where the needle is in order where we're trying to go. Sometimes people want the same things as you, but they don't necessarily understand the steps it takes or the knowledge it takes or literally how to move the needle. And I remember just from the research, being able to share information as far as where we are, how to engage. I know we went through the different steps of enacting social change. There are a lot of different steps, running for office, legislation, raising money, getting in the community. So there's so many different things to do, and sharing that information with them and being able to present it to them in a way that they can understand and interpret so they can apply it is really the way that we can galvanize a movement and to start the movement in the right direction.
Yes, yes. I mean, A plus, because he remembered all of the the teachings we had and what we tried to share. That's so great to be able to, you know, talk about that, how that really played a role in your day to day. Natasha, same thing. Again, what role did engaging in research and the practice of research, how did it enhance and or amplify your efforts?
So growing up, doing research for like middle school and high school projects and having to integrate it, it was never one of my favorite things to do. But getting to college and actually researching topics that I care about or that I'm like significantly impacted by has really changed my opinion on things. And it also makes me a little bit more credible having other credible voices around me. So I can talk to people with an actual scientist or researcher backing me up instead of just me saying, well, I think this or I heard this. It just strengthens whatever your topic or argument is. And then this will also help me as I get into a master's program. So it'll just strengthening research, because I've never actually thought of research being this good, like helpful experience. So yeah.
No, that's so important, because I too, again, thought of researcher as lab coat, microscope, but not something where you actually could study people and a lived experience and, you know, really understand some of the nuances and how interactions influence development and things of those nature. So I'm glad to hear that that also has started to resonate with you. And I'm glad, you know, Dr. August and I have been able to sort of share it in such a way that it's not a daunting experience, you know, because I think for many of us kind of growing up, this is what we know of research. You've just books and there's no sort of connection and a way to sort of bridge what we read on paper to our human interaction. So thank you for sharing that. And to think about human interaction really moves us to our third and final segment, wanting to talk about advocacy, activism, and social change. So thank you, Caleb and you know, Natasha, for springboarding us into this segment. We want to know more about your social justice efforts. More specifically, how did the Institute curriculum and guidance really support your interest in advocacy and activism and social change? Some of you may have started with an idea or had a direction that this is where I'm going to go with my education and career. And it may have turned a little bit through our involvements. And so wanted you to share a little bit of that information with us today.
Yeah, so to kind of build on that and give you a little bit more specific question, I'll direct this first inquiry to Jesse and Caleb. But how did what you learned about the Olympic Project for Human Rights and the experiences of Smith and Carlos, as well as the organizing and teaching of Dr. Harry Edwards, which we sometimes call the revolt of the Black athlete, how did learning about these things help to situate your understanding of athlete activism in terms of what it is and, you know, what you can take away from that as you know, pursue your own causes? So maybe I'll go to Jesse first on that one.
I think, so I like that I have the opportunity to answer this question because I haven't been an athlete since high school. But I think a core part of it is athlete activism involves using what platforms you have to help try to make the world a better place. Specifically, learning about Dr. Harry Edwards, I actually read his book before I even applied for this internship. And for me, it was actually empowering. For example, for me, I'm a queer priest for a church that hasn't had the best track record with these things. And it actually kind of gave me the bravery to say in these conversations, say, look, I'm part of this side and I'm part of this side. Let's make sure both have the representation in the opposite ends so we can actually start building dialogue and bridges rather than, I don't know what you are, you don't know what I am, are we even going to talk at all? So it was that empowering experience. Let me know it's okay to be in this hybrid space. It's okay to use these platforms that I do have to build those bridges that will ultimately lead to a peaceful and productive resolution.
Well said, well said.
We have a mute. Yeah, thanks so much. I think that's a really important takeaway to kind of analyze your own positionality and the privileges and disadvantages that come with that when you're kind of strategizing to advocate. You're really drawing upon the resources that you have, and you're mindful of the constraints that confront you. And I think that's a really important and powerful takeaway. Caleb, to turn the question to you, again, just how did your understanding of the Olympic Project for Human Rights and Smith and Carlos's experiences and what Dr. Harry Edwards was teaching, how did that inform your advocacy?
Really, the biggest thing I had to realize was where they were in their time and where I am in current time. So to really differentiate. So I know with them, they had to meet in person and do a lot of footwork really. And it was probably harder to galvanize and to recruit troops back then. Now it's fairly, I'm not gonna say it's easier, but the opportunity to get in front of more people is easier with social media, on various accounts like Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, everything in between. And for me, really being able to galvanize, to really hone in on where I feel like my peers are as far as their knowledge level on what's going on in society. I really got to get a good feel for that on social media and being able to put out nuggets of some truths. You can't believe everything you see on social media, but putting out some nuggets of truth out there so they know and what they can grasp onto. That with what, for example, what they did with Dr. Harry Edwards did for the Olympic Project of Human Rights, he really made a stand that he was going to believe in something and he was going to make it attractive enough for other people to understand what it is so they can, and they really shared a common goal and a common theme of how they felt and where they wanted society to go and what kind of treatment that they wanted and they expected where they were. Being world-class athletes at the highest level, what they did was the perfect opportunity and platform to really have the world see what they were doing for a few minutes of time. But their moments of their action lasted really, it's gonna last forever. And even though what they did happened a long time ago, it allows people like myself and everybody else on this panel to really find their niche and do what they can to sort of simulate what was the actions taking place years ago to, put your own spin on things now. Not saying that everything is going to blow up and the world is just going to see it overnight, but it's really those habits of getting in front of the right people, of making stands and not allowing things to continue going on, and to not be silent and to really share your peace of mind.
Thank you so much. Natasha's nodding her head. We often have these moments of, yes, I agree, because in our meetings with one another, we have our small pillar meetings, once a week, but then we meet as a bigger group at the end of every week just to check in across the board to make sure, again, everybody is on the same page, as Natasha said. As we continue to sort of think about this, I also want to hear a little bit more about the specific causes. I know you all again, each had an opportunity to utilize your education, your platform, and the research opportunities to share your information. But we thought, hey, let's go ahead and listen and hear what you did actually present on and what you are working on currently, and just some other things that are also near and dear to you. So with that said, we wanted you to share probably one or two causes that you're passionate about, helping us understand what is significant about those issues or causes, and where can we learn more about them, whether it be locally, regionally, nationally, even internationally, when we talk about issues of inequity, issues of inequality, or just issues of situations happening in our local and global communities. So I'm going to start with Jesse, and I actually cheated a little bit. So I'm going to share, put a slide up as you all kind of share some of this great information with our audience today.
All right. So for me, there's really two, and the slide will come up as it goes. But the first builds off, again, my hybrid state of being a queer priest. And there's actually an organization. I'm a priest for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's a lay clergy. And Affirmation is that sort of national organization that is seeking to deal with those intersections between sexuality and religion, and find that common ground to affirm identities and to continue building faith in what we believe in. And the other main program is actually has a special place in my heart, as I was part of the inaugural class for it, which was AVID. And AVID is a program for middle and high school students who are in the middle. These aren't the high achieving students. These aren't the low achieving students. These are those students in the middle that, because of the demands to take care of the polar ends, are usually overlooked. And this program specifically worked with myself, I was in the middle, and my class and my peers, to really promote going to college, to promote fulfilling the dreams that we had. And I don't think it's any accident that most, if not everyone in my class, was able to go to college and actually able to really snag some scholarships with it. And those are really just two programs really close to my heart. And in terms of the resources below, I'm also passionate with rurality. My academic advisors during my bachelor's just published a book this April about the condition of rural education. And also for those interested in learning more, really just learning about people of various identities, Real Talk About LGBTQIAP by Coit is probably one of the best books out there, because it's literally a person who is not really that affiliated with the community, really going about and doing their best to ask the questions of, what is this identity? What are the stereotypes of this community? And how can we actually learn about them and grow in our love and understanding of people?
Thank you so much for sharing all of those great resources and organizations that we can learn from. Next, I want to go to Natasha to share a little bit about some of the things that you are interested in and passionate about. I know one of them keenly is Black Lives Matter, and you had still a little work in that area.
Yes, so I'm big on Black Lives Matter and police brutality and just systemic racism. Big. You get me started and I won't stop. But the two issues that I want to talk about today is homelessness. I'm big on supporting our unhoused community. So I love giving the tip to keep waters and snacks and Gatorades in your car in your passenger seat, because it's getting hot and you can help save people's lives by just giving them water. But there's also a couple accounts that I can share. And then there's also Hero Tent and Black Outreach SJ, because I'm from the Bay Area. And so I want to be as involved with organizations that are already working. And so those are a couple that can help bring awareness and help to that community. And then I also want to talk about mental illness. So I love breaking the stigma, and I'm here to break the stigma on psychotic and manic disorders. I feel like not very many people are educated on what the signs are, what somebody might be doing in a manic episode, and what you can do to help. I feel like a lot of the mental illness can then stem to homelessness. So I think there's a big connection. And so, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, there's so many bridges and connections, but I like the emphasis that you also talked about of working sort of locally in your community and collaborating with those organizations that are already doing the work. You know, it's easy for us to say to step out and try to do our own thing, but taking the opportunity to find organizations that are closer to you and work with them and join and collaborate, bringing skill sets and minds together and interests, I think is also a beautiful part of the activist and advocacy efforts. So thank you definitely for sharing those pieces. Gonna hop to Leilani next to share some of the things that I know that that are near and dear to you.
Oh, this topic just got me going. So I'm super passionate about ADA in sports. And it's all because of like looking at our local places, like local high schools, local colleges, and seeing that there really isn't any adapted sports, and how that just leaves no room for inclusion for athletes with disabilities. So if you want to talk about equal opportunities, they can't have any if there isn't any. And these presentations that I made just really hits on those topics of how it's not only about funding, it's also about the gyms, the structures, the arenas, how all of those places may not be up to date, which kind of like, if you can't even enter the gym, how can you expect me to play on a team? And if you want to look about like, how can I do more, or like, where is this happening around me? Really just look at the places around you, look at the schools and see if there's any programs. If you want to look at like a larger scope, look at the Paralympics and look at the Olympic Games. Like, which one do we really watch and which one shows on TV? And like, could you name any Paralympic athletes, or how many could you name that are Olympic athletes? And just kind of be like, before this, I couldn't even name one Paralympic athlete. And that just kind of shows like where I'm at and where most people are at also. So this is really, really big. And I really want to fight for it, because if you think about it, you don't really hear about people fighting for ADA in sports. It's all about something else. And I really just wanted to bring this to the conversation.
And you have brought it to the conversation. Leilani has been with us for 2 semesters, presented again at our inaugural conference, and then this past semester with our human rights and social change conference. And you can find her work and her presentation on our YouTube channel. So I invite everybody to check her work out, Jessie Bear, Natasha Harris, as well as Caleb Simmons, and the work and the presentations they've done, which we again have housed on our YouTube channel. And even this notion of ADA, I mean, we feel the passion from Leilani, and we are just doing everything to give her tools and ensure that she's connected, but she does it on her own as well. So, you know, bravo to you for speaking it again on all of these multiple levels, but even in getting into the legislative aspect of it. But I like what you said, if there's no opportunity, how do you expect me to get involved? How can we even begin some of these conversations if, like you said, I can't get through the door? So thank you so much for sharing that. Caleb Simmons, what can I say? We've been on several panels together. I say several. We've had the opportunity over this past semester to grow from, you know, I would say teacher student to student teacher. You know, I'm learning from you now with the effort that you've been involved in. You've shared your platform. You've had an opportunity to appear on our local news station with NBC, and a couple of panels, the College Sport Research Institute, as well as a collaborative panel with the African American Community Service Agency and the Jewish Center of Silicon Valley. And so had some great opportunities to speak and share your platform, at least what I've been a part of. And I know you've done many more things, but share with us a little bit too about things that you're passionate about and how you've utilized your platform.
You know, the one thing I'm really, really passionate about is kind of changing the narrative of what student athletes are and what athletes are in general. You know, I remember LeBron James is really scrutinized by a reporter saying just to shut up and dribble. And you know, it took me until that situation basically happened to me, but in a slightly different context, until I really like, you know, honed in on, wow, so this is really like a stereotype, and this is slowly becoming a norm. It's just sports is another form of entertainment. We don't want you to get involved in political things, and we want sports to be apolitical. And it's crazy enough as it is, sports is one of those platforms that it can take anything from the world and literally just put it on display for millions of people to see, or however number of people to see for like an hour or 5 minutes or however long it is. And it's, you know, I take a lot of really pride in just being a leader in the community, not only for athletes that I don't know, but athletes that know me, people, young people that know me. That's why I'm taking on so many, I'm just trying to be a leader and taking on so many different leadership roles. It's not necessarily for myself, but it's just to show that other people can do this. I'm no different than the next person that's literally either in the audience or on this panel with me. I just care, and it's important to me to sort of be a trailblazer and to lead another path that's slightly, you know, not as favorable now in society. It's, you know, doing a lot of work, quote unquote, and as a young person in college can be frowned upon. And, you know, being a goody two shoes or being one of those, whatever cliches are out there about, you know, being involved in your school and in the community. And I know for me being a basketball player, you know, a lot of other athletes see me as being like a, I don't know, nerd or whatever, because, and I'm trust me, I'm far from that. If you know me, it's really just, I'm just trying to change the narrative. That's really what I'm passionate about, getting in the community, educating young people, being somebody that others can look up to for encouragement, but really just love. That's really what I want to spread to not only this community, but as many people as I can. With opportunities I've been presented, I'm just trying to make the most of it.
Great, thank you so much. Sorry. So I think we really learned a ton about each and every one of your causes, and with that, I think you know, that's just such powerful takeaways, and it really gives us all insight into what we can do, you know, as individuals to kind of get involved and support your causes. With that, I'm going to turn it back to Akila, who has a few things to kind of wrap up the conversation that we've just been having right here.
No, definitely. Thank you all for sharing all of that. Just to, you know, remember that we are here. We're going to take a little break over the summer, but the Institute is here. We're still working. We're still collaborating. We've got programs that are continuing as we move through the rest of May and the summer months. But we definitely want all of those in the audience out there to continue to speak, to use their voice, as our young people have here today, and attending, and not only attending future sport conversations for change, but any platforms that my colleagues or these amazing students may be on. We also, you know that we want to continue our efforts to support these young people. So we invite you to give to the Institute and our programming and what we do. And again, continue to read and edify. And so part of that is visiting our San Jose State Martin Luther King Jr. Library to check out the Dr. Harry Edwards collection, as well as some other amazing readings about activism, about advocacy, and about all of these issues that our panelists have shared with you today. If you're interested in internship, or you know someone that is, we definitely invite you to reach out to us to learn more about our internships, and to see if this is something for you. Understand our internship opportunity is definitely alive and well, but if you just want to volunteer, we welcome that as well. Everybody can add to what we do. And we just have a few of our amazing interns here with this platform, and they have brought such a skill set, such a level of energy as well, that we are excited just to welcome on our next group of young people. And so with that said, we want to kind of just come to some final closing comments, and Dr. August is going to take it away and have our students sort of wrap up with some final comments and thoughts about their internship experience, perhaps what they learned or some takeaways for the day.
Thank you, Dr. Carter-Francique. So I think I will turn to Jesse first. We'll kind of go in the same order there. But what are some of the things that you've learned about yourself through your advocacy, activism, and social change efforts? And what would you like the audience to take away from this conversation?
I have been summoned. So I would say the main thing I've learned about myself is in order to do activism for me, I need to know where I am. Where do I stand? Who am I? How do I identify? Because it's that confidence that comes with knowing who I am that allows me to go and say, let's make sure we're understanding there are other people that could be affected by these conversations. So for what I would honestly say for everyone in attendance is really back to two things. One being learn about yourself, take that time, whether it's reading a book, taking a hike, or just meditating. Think about what am I insecure about, and how can I address that? And the second part is really just get out and learn about the people around you, get to know your neighbors, those people in your life that you probably don't know that well. And because organizations do so much good, at the same time, it's also when we take that step to learn about the wider world around us, that not only can we better help organizations that are making change, but we can better be those representatives for our friends who need help as we go forward through time and whatever challenges come next, because we can at least understand to some degree where they're coming from.
Thanks so much, Jesse. Natasha, what have you learned about yourself, and what would you like us to take away?
I learned that I really like in-person learning. But I also learned that it is okay to take breaks, because sometimes life, especially with playing soccer and D1 soccer, it's always like quickly going on to the next. You don't really have time to just like, so Dr. Keela Carter-Francique has told me like, no, make sure you're getting your snack, make sure you're getting your water, because the work can still be done, but you can't pour into others if you're not pouring into yourself. And I've also learned how big and how much social media can make an impact. So yeah, follow me on Instagram because I be on it every single day. So yeah.
Thanks so much, Natasha. Leilani, what have you learned about yourself, and what would you like us to take away from this presentation?
Something that I learned about myself is, I said this over and over again, the power that your voice carries. But before this, I didn't know how powerful a voice could be. And going back to our YouTube presentations, if you take a look at it, like I have 500 people who watched it, and that's just a testament to show like how powerful your voice could be. And something that I wanted the others to take away is like activism and advocacy comes in many different forms. It's not just protesting, it's not just boycotting. It could be research, it could be anything, like even sparking conversations. I think that's a really big thing to know. It's like, see what's comfortable for you and what you think is going to be most effective for your people in your little bubble. So yeah, just know that like your voice is heard, and there's more than one way to advocate for others.
Great. Thank you so much for those wise words. And Caleb, what have you learned about yourself through this internship and through your activism? And what would you like us to take away?
I've learned that what you do in life echoes in eternity, and whether that is good or bad, it's still out there. And for me, it's an opportunity to not only live my day to the best of my abilities, but to put my best foot forward and to try as hard as I can while I'm still here, to leave an impact that hopefully is respected. And what I've learned with the internship, you know, really knowledge is power, and you are, is like I said before, you don't know what you don't know, but you know what you know. And when you understand information and you understand the ability of the power of that information and how to educate others and how to uplift others, it's then at that point where we can start making strides as a society and getting to different platforms and getting to different places where we're trying to go as far as getting these things that we want accomplished, done. And like I said before, moving that needle from one place to another, it takes more than one, it takes many. And that's really what I encourage everybody to figure out for themselves, is how you can move the needle in your life to be the best person you can be.
I'm just taking a pause. I'm taking that breath. I'm so impressed, amazed, excited, humbled just to be in your presence today. So not only our interns that are on this platform, but we have some out in the virtual atmosphere. Annie, Anthony, I hear you out there. I think Rocky's out there. Just want to give a shout out. Nagin, I know you're out there. Megan, I know you're out there as well. You've done some amazing, amazing work with us. We wish you all the best as you continue. I want everyone just to give a round of applause for these amazing young people, to thank them, but also to cheer them on as they move on from us, as they move on into their own lives and future endeavors. It has just truly been an amazing, amazing experience. And so, whoo, it's just one of those moments. I'm super proud. But I hope that you all that are watching this program today can know the power of your platform. You know, think about creating opportunities within your own space to nurture a young mind, an older mind, you know, and continue to sort of spread the power and the potential of, you know, advocating, activating for social change. It's such a great opportunity, and we've seen from the responses here today the impact that it can have on them personally and on those around them. So with that, I say thank you. Thank you for coming for this May's Sport Conversation for Change. Please look out for us. Follow us on our various social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, our YouTube channel, and see some of the amazing work that we have and that will still be coming forth. So thank you all. We thank you, and we'll see you next time.